Howdy. I'm back because I wanted to talk to y'all about the 1920s India Mystery series. It's also sometimes referred to as the Perveen Mystery series. And that's not Perveen Mystery, it's Perveen Mistry. It centers around, again, Perveen Mistry, who is the first female lawyer in 1920s Bombay. Mistry is a pretty common Parsi name. She is a Parsi woman. Now, if you're like me, you had never heard that word before this context. I mean, I like to think I'm fairly well read. I met my Goodreads goal this year. But I don't know, maybe I'm an uncultured swine. I'd never heard of it before. The Parsi people, they actually migrated from as far back as maybe 8th century Persia to Marathi India, fleeing religious persecution. They were and are still members of the Zoroastrian faith. It's a monotheistic religion that worships Ahura Mazda. Anyway, so they come to India very long time ago at this point. Over the centuries, they become Indian themselves, and Parsi is only used to refer to an Indian-born Zoroastrian person. But they maintain a, very distinct identity of their own. They're all members of the same faith. They tend to live in colonies in larger urban areas. Most of them speak Gujarati as a mother tongue. They have some of their own culinary traditions, and the women even have a particular way of styling their sari, which you can see on the cover of this first book, The Widows of Malabar Hill. So, circling back around, Perveen, this Parsi woman in her early 20s, is, like I said, first female lawyer in 1920s Bombay. And while her home life is also members of her community, she's part of a wider community. It's an extremely diverse and fascinating setting. It is like British colonial India, which it comes with a whole lot of context. If you wanted to go into how that complicates things, it'd be like a billion-hour video of its own. But, she goes about her every day alongside other Parsis, Hindus, Christians, Muslims, Sikhs, and more. I think the author, Sujata Massey, I'm not sure if I mentioned that earlier actually, she does a really fantastic job of, showing you all these cultural details and explaining them as you go so that, you don't have to go in with any knowledge, you can just pick this book up and learn from it. But she really goes into the nuance of different, religious and gendered and social class affected interactions. It's especially complicated for Perveen because, she and her friend in the book, Alice, they both really want Indian independence, but Perveen's own family has a lot of business ties to the British Empire there, and Alice is English. Perveen met her while studying at Oxford. So, no spoilers, but there's a lot going on there. Well, and as far as, the implications of gender in the book, part of what propels Perveen's legal study, there's the fact that she's going to work at her father's firm. Her father is already a very well-established lawyer in their community, but she has a really important personal history that makes women's rights very important to her. And that's why this first book, it's actually narratively split. So parts of it take place in the book's present day, where you get, what's actually happening in the current mystery, and then there's some tie-ins to the chapters that take place several years into her past. It does a really good job of setting up her character, of delving into some of the women's rights issues of the day. Yeah, it kind of did what it needed to do. The books after this one, they all take place in, the book's present day. But anyway, so if you're way smarter than me, and, you already know everything this book has to teach you about its really interesting setting, that's awesome. You'll still really love these. It's just extremely well written. The mysteries, at least in my opinion, are really well thought out and complex. Massey paints a really great picture in the book. Like, just the scenery, all the dialogue you read. You know, I don't know how close it is to, like, 1920s slang, especially, you know, the parts that aren't actually in English, but are in English for you because this book is in English. You know, it's kind of translated into present day speak a little bit for that, but it feels very natural, and that's something a lot of cozy mysteries I've noticed kind of have an issue with, is especially if the person's like looking for clues or something, they'll kind of be like, hey, I brought you some scones. What were you doing last night at 8:17 p.m.? And it's just, it kind of jars you out of the book a little bit. Anyways, more differences between the first and the later books. I didn't even realize until today that the copy I have here, it is the deluxe edition, which means that it comes with an interview with the author. It's got like discussing questions, but most importantly, it's got recipes, which we love in a cozy. I actually made the faluda. It's an ice cream dish that reminds me a lot of the Filipino one, halo halo. I had to make a lot of substitutions. It's like rose syrup, milk, basil seeds. I use chia seeds. Faluda sev noodles. I had to use rice vermicelli. Chopped pistachios and almonds and vanilla ice cream. 10/10. But you know, it's also got like a fried chicken recipe that's like specifically a Parsi recipe. And a cocktail. Alright. But yeah, so I'm curious, since I read the next two as ebooks through my public library, if I can actually track down the physical copies. Do they have the recipes? Because I was super bummed when I thought that, like, oh, I guess she just quit doing that after book one. But maybe she didn't. But anyways, let's see, if I didn't mention earlier, I finished The Bombay Prince, which is the third one, yesterday. There is a fourth one called The Mistress of Bhatia House that's supposed to be coming out this summer. As far as any other thoughts I had about this, my one critique might actually be Perveen's friend Alice that I mentioned earlier. She's not into men. But you don't really see like her love interests or anything coming up in the book, and like for most of the series, like, that could be true or not be true. It's just not really relevant. I'd like to maybe see that change in future ones. But yeah, I thought these were great. I love these books. If you read them, you know, I thought they were rad. I hope I hope you also think they were rad. And yeah, bye.